Today. My name is Joe Foy. I'm from the Wilderness Committee, and I spoke to you when we left at the other end, and we had this great paddle together on the river. Wasn't it amazing weather? The sun came out. It's a glorious time on the river. We're together. It's fun. I almost don't want to say what I have to say next. You and I are on a third-generation farm here, a farm that sits on top of 10,000 years of history, a farm that's made of beautiful soil in an area that has the best farmland in the Peace River Valley. And this is the place where BC Hydro, ordered by the provincial government, is working very hard to force the farmers off their third-generation land. You are on the front lines, and Ken and Arlene Boon, whose farmland we are on, we have gathered here for 11 years. They have been absolutely in the center of this fight, so generous with their time, with their words, with their heart. And this is one of the reasons why we will win. We need to stop this dam. We need to stop this project. And we heard today how important it is for you to speak to your MLAs, your MPs. We heard how there are permits on Mr. Trudeau's cabinet members' desks right now. The Ministry of Fisheries, the Ministry of Transportation. You'll hear more about that today from the speakers. To live up to promises to people that the Prime Minister made, those permits must not be signed. And when you contact your MPs, when you write your letters, think about this farmland, think about Ken and Arlene Boon and all the wonderful people who live in this wonderful valley and why we need to protect it. And this is the year we're going to do that. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you Ken and Arlene Boon, the owners of this beautiful farm right here.
Welcome to Bear Flat. It is so great to see everybody come out. And 11 years now we've been doing this. This is the first year we've been on stage. And you know what? We haven't been on the river on a paddle. But I love working this end of it because I get to see everybody coming in and going out, and it just fills my heart to see all you guys smiling, to see the support. And we thank you because we can't save this valley alone. And so your support means so much to us. Thank you.
So, as Arlene said, from the bottom of our heart, we want to thank, just all the general public, locals and from afar who come to this event every year, and the various groups, like the non-government environmental groups, Amnesty International, the various levels of politicians. We have, many more politicians here this year than ever before, and that's exactly what we need. We're into the crunch now, and this is not the time to blink. And so we need to stay strong now and beat this down. We want to welcome you to our farm here, like Joe said. Arlene's third generation on here. Arlene's grandfather bought this property from the original homesteaders that homesteaded here for agriculture in the 1960s. And on that front, old Blanche Dock, she's passed on now many years ago, but when they got off the boat here 100 years ago this year, she said, and it made a big impression on her, when they got off the boat here, the First Nations were camped right here with horses and their teepees. So, you know, we're just one small part of the history on this land. There's 10,000 years of history on this land, and all together, you know, the First Nations and the farmers and everybody, we have to win this. We have to win this fight. We have no choice. It's been a crazy year. Of course, we all know what the government's doing under Christy Clark. They're, you know, she's pushing us, trying to push this past the point of no return. And in response to that, I mean, look at the year we've had. We've had protest camps right on the river, right in downtown Vancouver on BC Hydro's step, hunger strikes. We've had court cases, fundraising. You name it, it just goes on. And the support for this battle just keeps growing. And you know, I hear it from a really reliable source that, I mean, get this, the BC government and BC Hydro, they're surprised by the amount of opposition to this project. And then on top of that, they're not very happy about it either. So I say on our side, let's steal a page from Christie's book and let's drive this to the point of no return of never happening. And so just, I know there's lots of speakers, lots to be said. I just want to make one point on the landowner's point. Some of you may notice, some of you may not. BC Hydro right now is trying to purchase all the lands they need for this project in the Bear Flat stretch of the valley for the 8.5 kilometers of road that would need to be moved, rebuilt if this project goes ahead. They want to have us bought out by Christmas so they can start building this road by next year. So remember, this isn't, if they stick to their timeline, which they already are not doing, this wouldn't be needed till 2024. So we're challenging them on that timeline and their rationale for that timeline, and we're calling on BC Hydro to not purchase this land yet and wait for all these challenges to this project to be removed. There's a lot of things happening that can and will stop this project yet. And so we have the very real scenario right now where ourselves and the other people in Bear Flat, where the road is going right through their houses. They've strategically made this road so it goes through almost every house right in Bear Flat. We could get kicked out of our houses could get bulldozed, and then this project could get stopped. So what we're calling on the government to do is to not purchase these lands yet and let these challenges be settled. And what we need is for people to be pushing the government on that and telling them that message on a provincial level, and on a federal level, we need the government not to issue those permits. And that's the two main keys right now. Thank you.
Well, we've heard about Mr. Trudeau's promises. We've heard that so many of us, including myself, believe he is a man with a good heart. His promises for reconciliation with First Nations. But we know that in order to protect the sacred lands here, the grave sites here, the thousands of years of history here, Mr. Trudeau has got to live up to his promises. And you've also heard we've got more elected officials here at this panel for the peace than ever before. And I want to invite up federal NDP MP Sheila Malcolmson, who's the MP for Nanaimo-Ladysmith. One of the people that's going to take our message to Ottawa where it's needed.
That was good timing because I just got off that beautiful river. I'm looking forward to lunch and grateful to all the cooks that are feeding us this afternoon. So I'm Sheila Malcolmson. I'm Member of Parliament for the beautiful riding of Nanaimo-Ladysmith in the middle of Vancouver Island. And I got my start in elected office for fighting a BC Hydro project. Yeah. You know, what a way to bring people together, because it sure does in a strange way. BC Hydro was proposing to put a natural gas pipeline through the Salish Sea, through the fragile waters of that region, through the beautiful islands, and then put a generating station right near my home. So that lit a little fire under me. That was 2001. It took our community 4.5 years of court challenges, but we beat it, and this community is going to beat Site C. So I want to talk just for a minute about the partnership that we can have on the federal side to clear the path to bring an end to this project. On the federal side, we've got really strong commitments and obligations around treaty, around nation-to-nation relationship, around Indigenous reconciliation and right relationship. We know this project fails on that. New Democrats, and know Elizabeth as well, we're going to be pushing really hard in the House on Indigenous relationship. We've also got fisheries permits. That's an absolute stopper. We've got to restore habitat protection for the Fisheries Act. Really grateful for people that are advocating for that change, but that's another stopper. And then the third big one that we're talking about always, climate change. A real collision, but we need to do some education around this not being a clean power project, because that's kind of gotten into the vernacular in a way we need to get out. But the big one that's emerging is the impact of mega projects on women and on vulnerable people. I'm the lead for Status of Women for the NDP. We're working really hard on murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls inquiry. We really salute the work that Kairos is doing and that Amnesty International is doing on ringing the alarm on what happens to communities, what happens to women when mega projects destroy our communities, destroy our environment. Stay strong on that front. Stay strong. And working together, pulling in the same direction. We are going to beat this plant. We're going to work with you, be your voice in Ottawa, and paddle in the future with you, pulling in the same direction, but for a renewable, sustainable, just future. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out. I don't know, I haven't heard what the numbers were, but it looks like this is one of the biggest paddles that we've had. Do we have a tally? Guys, anybody? Joe? Do we know if there's a tally on how many people were come out through the registrations yet?
We'll get that.
Okay, so it was great to see everybody. I don't think anybody got wet accidentally. Did somebody get wet? Yeah. Falling in the river, right? So everything happened. The other thing I wanted to point out.
I did see somebody fall off the boat in the river.
Oh, maybe somebody did get wet. We've been doing the paddle for 11 years now. That's the first time I've ever seen the RCMP on the water. Wow. And I don't know if it's something to do with the NDP being here. Or maybe Elizabeth being here. But coincidence or not? Huh? Anyways, thank you all. We're gonna keep paddling. Next year, after we stop this damn thing, we're going to keep paddling on this water and keep this thing going. This is a great event. This is wonderful. We call it the Cowboys and Indians coming together, right? And this is good. My council, I want to point out, Clarence is over there. Clarence Wilson is one of my councillors. Dean Doki, another one of the councillors. Laura is here. The guy in the hat right there, that's Caleb Behn. You guys can go and talk to him. He's got a lot of stuff going on. So chase him down, and he's got lots to say. There is a keepers conference going on, is there not? Tomorrow in Fort St. John? Okay, so good to see everybody. I'm glad you all came out. We'll see you next year.
Well, the catchword of this gathering and this fight is together. we're all together. And it's my great pleasure to introduce to you someone you've just met, a champion for us all together in Ottawa, Green Party leader Elizabeth May.
Thank you. And I want to again acknowledge territory. Thank Chief Wilson so very much for, not just for today, but for taking us out on the river yesterday. A lot of us who came in from away were really fortunate, including Sheila and me and a lot of us who are activists coming into this community with the hospitality of so many local people, with Esther and Paul Peterson, with Ken and Darby Forrest letting us stay at their place. All of the welcome has been quite extraordinary. I also want to acknowledge so much leadership from First Nations, to see Grand Chief Stuart Phillip here, and to see Chief Liz Logan here earlier, to see so much solidarity between the people who've been traditionally farming this valley and the people whose land we're all on. It's an extraordinarily powerful statement of unity. I just want to say one thing that I learned from Yvonne earlier yesterday. Her background, she told me about being Beaver Cree and about how in her language this river was traditionally known as the Beaver. And it wasn't until there was a peace treaty between the Dogrib and the Dene, the Beaver Cree, and also those who are not First Nations. This river's name speaks to a promise. This river's name, the Peace, is about making peace. The river itself is a promise. We must keep the peace. We must keep our promises. And this is directly to Justin Trudeau as our Prime Minister. To keep your promise means saying no to Site C. To keep your promise means saying yes to really green and clean energy. Saying yes to this river means saying yes to allowing it to breathe and live. As I paddled today, words came back to me from a speech I heard decades ago at a conservation conference in the U.S., where a senator with the unusual name of Dale Bumpers, so I give credit for a quote when I give a quote. Senator Bumpers said, you know, and I might give this to you with his Arkansas accent, why is it whenever we destroy something man-made, we call it vandalism, and whenever we destroy something God-made, we call it progress? This is the river God made. This is a piece of a promise. This promise is the peace, and we will keep the peace. No way, Christy Clark, no way will you get your dam past the point of no return. No way will we ever surrender or give up or stop fighting for Ken and Arlene and the good people of this valley. You will not throw good people out of their homes by Christmas. As God is my witness, we will keep the peace.
Together we're going to do this. Rural and urban, native and non-native, we're doing this together. People from here, people in Ottawa, we're going to win this. It's my great pleasure to invite Grand Chief Stuart Phillip and wife Joan Phillip up to the stage. Grand Chief Stuart Phillip of the BC Union of Indian Chiefs. The power we have in this field today.
Together. I'll save the best for last. Why East Priest Ancient, my Castle Halt, I just said greetings, my name is Ancient. My English name, of course, is Joan Phillip. As we were driving up here, I was just amazed at the beauty of this area and the river. It just moves you when you're on it. This is my first paddle on the Peace. Yes, now I know why he brought me. Because he was sitting in the middle. But I just absolutely love the river. My first protest, I was 16 years old, was for the Nisqually River and the rights of the people there to fish. When you alter an area over 20%, you change the ecology. And as Elizabeth May was saying, God made this river for the people in this area. That's who should control what's going on here. And I'm just so pleased to see so many from all walks of life, all colors, and coming together. I mean, you look at the United States and they're falling apart. And we're the ones coming together because we all live here. We all have a responsibility to save the river. So I'm just so honored to be here and so happy to be with Stuart today. I'm not working now, so I'll be able to do the piece again and again. Once it's stopped. We don't need another dam. And we need to maintain the integrity of the environment in this area. So
Haskell, Peace Naxil, Esquith, Asiut. I want to begin by acknowledging Treaty 8, the Indigenous peoples here in Treaty 8 who have lived here since the beginning of time. I want to acknowledge in a very special way our dear friends and neighbors. I am so absolutely thrilled to be back here doing yet another paddle, but this one is beyond special because Joan and I were able to share this experience together. And for the last 5 or 6 years that I've come up here faithfully, I went home and I've tried to articulate, I've tried to describe the beauty of the Peace River. I attempted to tell her what a wonderful event this is of the coming together of our dear friends and neighbors from near and far, working together in solidarity to save a world-class heritage river. And I know every single time that I went home and attempted to describe it to Joan, I fell short until today when her and Clarence were out at the front of the pack, amazing paddlers, both of them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
My job was in the middle, describing the landscape as it went flying by us. But I want to say how deeply touched, how deeply moved I am by what I've experienced here today in terms of people coming together in this very special moment in all of our history. There's a historical timeliness here. There's an undeniable spiritual dimension to what we're doing here. I think in many ways we are hearing the call of our ancestors, our forebears, to save the peace and everything that it represents. And I believe that this is a timely fight, that it has global ramifications, that it represents a paradigm shift that's beginning to take effect around the entire world, where we're beginning to reject the last 300 years of colonial, neo-colonial thinking that leads to the absolute destruction and desecration of Mother Earth. We're starting to look at renewables. We're looking at a different way of doing things. And we're beginning to learn and understand that our Creator put us here with a sense of purpose. And that purpose is to defend Mother Earth and all of the things that were gifted to us as human beings by our Creator. And I can tell you, Joan and I have been blessed with 15 grandchildren. We know in our heart of hearts that the work we do not do, that the challenges we do not rise to, that we will leave for them to do that work. And we believe it is up to us, each and every one of us, to do our utmost to stop this ludicrous project. I want to take a moment to acknowledge, to recognize the incredible demonstration of leadership with respect to the Rocky Mountain Fort Camp and those brave individuals those courageous souls that in the dead of winter went out onto the land. They occupied the land, they occupied the historic site, they stood up against incredible corporate aggression, and they stood their ground for many, many weeks. And we all know that they suffered dire consequences. They have lawsuits hanging over their heads in the millions and millions of dollars by this completely unethical, evil corporation, BC Hydro, in collusion with the Clark government. And those amazing people, Yvonne Tupper, Helen Knott, I can't remember her first name, I know her last name is Chapman, Lynn Chapman, who dropped everything, and she was the den mother, and she did the cooking. And she was the one there during those dark, long, cold nights that kept everybody's spirits up. Dr. Suzuki and I had the opportunity to go into the camp and spend some time there. So I want to acknowledge those people. I want to acknowledge all of the people I want to acknowledge all of those people that know and understand that our primary responsibility in these fights is firstly to show up. Secondly, is to speak up when we stand up. No matter what the risk, no matter what the consequences, we have to be prepared to do that if we're going to defend the land and save Mother Earth. We need focus. And you've heard a lot of the speakers talk about the need to focus our energy and our attention on Prime Minister Trudeau and the eloquent, lofty promises he made during the last election campaign. So I'm asking you, I'm asking each and every one of you, on behalf of your grandchildren, your children, and all of our grandchildren, to promise in your heart that when you leave here, you will commit to communicate with the Prime Minister's office, whether it be through phone calls, through emails, through snail mail, whatever. And I heard one of the speakers earlier talk about the need to do it continuously. And I believe that we have to do it every single week. We have to send the same letters, the same communications over and over and over in order for them to know and understand we're absolutely serious. We cannot allow for the destruction of homes and the eviction of people from this land here where their families have worked for many generations to hold this land and take care of it. So I just want to say that I am so grateful that there are so many good people like yourselves that are willing to take the time to come here every year and give expression to our vehement, ongoing opposition to this ugly notion of the Site C Dam. So we're going to do this 4 times. I am going to say, damn the BC Liberals. You were going to say, stop Site C. Damn the BC Liberals.
Stop Site C!
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 Thank you. What? So, wow, a lot of tough acts to follow out there. So, I'm the ED of Raven, and Raven stands for Respecting Aboriginal Values and Environmental Needs. And our mission is pretty tight. It's essentially to raise legal defense funds for First Nations who take a stand to protect their lands, way of life, and everything that we all benefit from. So Raven's been doing that for 7 years. We started raising funds for West Moberly and Prophet River First Nations when they started their very first legal actions back in, I want to say May of 2015. I am so proud to say that given all the efforts of everyone and a really amazing matching donor, yesterday we matched and hit the $250,000 goal. So that's a great launching point for phase 2. So you've heard all the reasons, you've heard everything about it. So I'm here to explain what you can now do. In addition to the political theory of change and all the things you can do about reaching out to your politicians, you could also reach into your pocket, because it takes a lot of money to fund these legal actions. The First Nations are digging deep, but it's going to take many more thousands of dollars to get these through the appeals and then all the way to the Supreme Court, which is essentially where one or all of them are going. And we've had a judgment, many of you may have heard about the very happy judgment that we all got on the Enbridge Northern Gateway Pipeline. That's going to help. Raven actually helped fund that as well. We raised $600,000 for the Pull Together campaign for 7 nations. So we know it can be done. We know that the funds can come in. We've launched a campaign that many of you may have seen called Grab a Paddle. This weekend alone, there are all kinds of people who couldn't come here, but they're out there doing solidarity events. There's a paddle in Seychelles. There's a paddle in Vancouver. There are paddles happening all over the place. There are other things. Businesses are kicking in. Ernest Ice Cream and Talese Paddles and Patagonia are all donating proceeds today. So we want to encourage people to go and support those businesses. But you can do just about anything to support these nations. You can go online to nosite-c.com and just donate. And it's in, out, nobody gets hurt.
You can also go in and become an online fundraiser, sort of like Movember or Run for the Cure, and you set up your own page and you invite all your friends and you tell them what you're doing and why you're doing it, put some paddle pictures up and encourage them to donate. And the third thing is to have an event, have a barbecue, have a film screening, have a bottle drive or a car wash. It's truly limited only by your imagination. And the idea is that all the funds will go through this nosite-c.com page, and they all go to support the legal action. So the next goal is to raise another $250,000, and we know that it can be done, and we're just going to ask all of you to please share the word, tell everybody you know, and we hope that by the time the fall rolls around, we'll be able to say we've matched the $250 that we've already raised. So I just encourage you again, if you didn't write it down, nosite-c.com. That's the place to go. I really appreciate that you all came out. I'm so grateful to be here on Treaty 8 lands and on Ken and Arlene's lands. This is my second year at the paddle. I am so deeply moved by what I've seen, and I can tell you that Raven is in for the long haul. We are not walking away from this. But we need you all to help us out. So thank you very much.
I want to acknowledge Vicky Husband is at the Paddle for the Peace. Vicky Husband, a hero of British Columbia. Come on. I just wanted to say that it's just so great to have Vicky here today with us. Vicky has worked to save so many important things in the province of British Columbia. I would have been remiss of not recognizing her today.
Thank you very much. I just have one comment. We're here for the river. We're here for the people who live on this river. We're here for the people who always lived on this river. And we're going to stop the dam because that's what we have to do. Just remember, we're here for the peace. Forever and ever. Thank you.
Now it's my great pleasure to invite up to the stage Mr. Art Napoleon, who is a terrific warrior fighter for the peace. Every time I turn around, I see him on television. It's a great honor to have Art here. I can see he's getting ready to come up on stage. Yeah, he's looking ready. And here he comes. Art Napoleon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. Mike's dead too. And we've got some stuff happening here on this microphone. How's everybody doing? Woo! So honored that all the beautiful faces, all the happy smiling faces I've seen here. I'm the guy who, I'm basically the Aboriginal version of Mark Myers. A miserable anarchist. And I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but fighting the government's half the battle. Some of our, we always have to look at ways we can improve on the ground with frontline action. It was an honor to be involved with the Rocky Mountain Fort Camp this winter in January. I was there for a few days and did some filming on a documentary I'm working on. And witnessed firsthand the lack of support from among our own people. It was an embarrassment, to be quite honest. Not only was there no moral support, there was no financial support, and people weren't allowed to actually, they were discouraged from heading out there to show any kind of support. And we Can't have that kind of stuff going on if we want to put up a united front. There's got to be more solidarity. Keep the damn lawyers out of it. Okay, we'll cheer things up with a really depressing song. So this is partly in Cree. Thank you very much. I think Mark Myers and I are heading to the Rocky Mountain Fort right about now, so now it'll hit me when I'm out there, but I'm kind of scared of what I'm going to see and feel. Take care.
Stage is yours, sir.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel Gargon. I chair the Keepers of the Water. It's an organization that begun around 2006, and I've been chairing it since that time. But I wanted to tell you a story that started in 2000 when we started there was a push to have the Mackenzie Gas project. And I worked with the elders and the leaders and everybody else, and our strategy was to beat the review process. It took six years on the Mackenzie Gas project, and on the last hearing, I did a 52-page presentation that sort of killed the whole thing. So having a lot of words does help politically to stop things from happening. So this is one of them. The Mackenzie Valley Pipeline in 1974 was another example of how you can actually stop mega projects if we work collectively. The whole idea behind the Keepers of the Water is that we all have a stewardship role. And not only the indigenous people have it. Yes, this is our homeland. But we all have an interest in saving this planet. And as one element, water is one of them. The air we breathe, fire, and the land itself, the food. So we all depend on that. We cannot selfishly do that. I can hog this air and you're not going to get anything. No, that's not how it works. We all share. So we do have a stewardship role. I'm a Dene. I'm from the Northwest Territories. And the word Dene itself comes from two words, right? De, meaning river, and net, meaning land. Dene. And that word itself goes right down from the Arizona country. The Navajos call it South Dene, and it's all the way over here. And in the middle is the Apaches. They speak the same type of language as we do too. Different dialect, but it's still, nonetheless, still Dene. So that's what we do, and we've been meeting all over the country, right from BC up to Manitoba, Wollaston Lake, Hatchland Lake, Northwest Territories, the Yukon, Mayo, Yukon, BC, Fort St. John. We're having a meeting at Jack's Place, I think it's called, but inside the casino actually. So for anybody that's going to be around tonight in Fort St. John, you're welcome. You're more than welcome to participate in our meeting. And because the Keepers of the Water is an Aboriginal organization that welcomes everybody that has a vested interest in air, water, food, and so on. So that's what we do. And we create awareness, and if you like to, then you're more than welcome to come. Thank you so much.
Well, we've talked about how we're standing on the best farmland in the North Country, and now I'd like to invite up soil expert agrologist Wendy Holm, hope I got that right, to tell us about what's at stake, about what we eat here in the Peace River Valley.
Thank you, because we do all eat for a living, right? I'm feel very privileged to be here with the Treaty 8 First Nations community and the farming community, and so many people who've come from near and far to support this vital struggle for this beautiful river. I had the opportunity with agrologist Ev Walterson, who's sitting over there, to look at the ag impact of the Site C dam. And Eveline did the soils background and I did the economics. You should know, and you do know, I'm sure, that alluvial soils are the most magical of soils. I say to people in Vancouver, if you were a vegetable, you would pray that your children would have a chance to grow up in alluvial soils, because these are soils that are perfect for horticulture. They can be constantly irrigated. In this valley, east-west running valley, with an extraordinary microclimate. It has sun from the beginning of the day till the end of the day. Class 1 climate for agriculture and Class 1 soils gives this valley the potential to produce the nutritional requirements, fruits and vegetables, for over 1 million people a year. Over 1 million people a year in perpetuity. And these are not simply my figures and Adeline's figures. These are figures that we dug out from reports that were done for BC Hydro when this went before the BC Utilities Commission. And this is why these figures, this 1 million people a year, has not been challenged, because they know this figure is right. In British Columbia, we are vegetable deficient. We import 67% of the vegetables that we consume from California. We know what's happening in California, right? They're facing an unprecedented drought. The Peace River is much closer to Vancouver, and it's much closer to northern communities. There was just a report out on the failure of the government's Nutrition North policy to be able to provide adequate nutrition to people in northern communities. You have mums that are looking at paying $7 a stalk for broccoli. What are they going to feed their children when broccoli is $7 a stalk? We have this absolutely beautiful Peace River Valley to produce the nutritional needs for people in northern communities, people in Vancouver communities, people in the province. This is, in my opinion, as an agrologist, one of the greatest transgressions of public policy I've ever seen. And I definitely, foursquare, want to be behind everything that can happen to turn this stupid decision around. I want to share with you one other aspect of this. We have back in the 50s, okay, when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers was tasked by the U.S. government to make sure America doesn't run out of water, right? So the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers flew over Canada under auspices of NORAD, I believe, and they mapped Canada's water resources and water resources in the north in Alaska. And then they looked to engineering firms to come up with proposals on how to make sure American cities don't run out of water. Now, this wasn't a 10-year plan, it wasn't a 20-year plan, this was a 100-year plan. So in the late 50s, at the same identical time, there were flood reserves placed on the Peace River Valley and on the Columbia Valley. Why? Because those pesky Rocky Mountains sit right in the middle, and the only way to get water from the north to the United States on the west side of the Rockies is the Columbia, but on the east side of the Rockies comes through the Peace. And Site C Dam is exactly where that dam needs to be to fulfill the engineering plans that are very much on the table. If you Google Nawapa XXI 21, Google it and look, and you'll see videos being produced today that look at these plans. And I think that I think water is the end game. They've gotten rid of all sorts of pesky regulatory issues, sovereignty issues with NAFTA, and this table is set. We have the opportunity, not only in terms of food policy, in terms of the commons, in terms of, this is our food commons. Generations and generations and generations ahead expect us to preserve and protect this, not flood it. It is also connected, I believe in my heart of hearts, to long-term objectives for continental water sharing. So stopping this dam is hugely important for all of us, and I am more than delighted to be part of this struggle, and I know we will continue, and I know we'll be successful, and we'll be here next year. So thank you very much.
And now I would like to invite up to the stage, representing Keepers of the Water, a powerful speaker, a passionate person, Caleb Behn. Behn, come on up, Caleb.
What's it, Joe? I'll be brief because we were told we only had 2 minutes, and not everyone was 2 minutes, and that's okay. My name's Caleb Behn. I'm actually Dene and Daneza, and the beautiful and sad thing about doing this kind of speech to people is that I don't need to acknowledge territory because I'm on where I come from. The sad part about that is that you understand what's at risk in this territory that I come from. And I was thinking about what to say today, and I realized instead of, telling you about the issues related to the dam, about the massive injustice, about the likely long-term implications, and acknowledging the Nawapa point and the history of water impoundment and water manipulation and water use and the prophecies of my ancestors, and Sam in particular, about the prophecies of our Dene ancestors and what's prophesied to come in the hard times. But rather than preach to the choir, I just want to make a few comments about today and my reflections on today and a couple of years of doing this work. My mom and grandfather helped stop Site C in 82 and 83. Yeah. Chief John Doty Sr. And my mother, Carrie Lynn Greatbanks, was the chief of West Mobile before Roland. I want to acknowledge the people who cooked for us. I see Chief Roland, being the humble man that he is, actually flipping burgers right now. Thank you, sir. I think what this space and what this work together is the greatest expression of our ability to come together. And the sad thing is that it's only like this that we come together. How sad that there needs to be destruction like that to bring together the farmers and the indigenous people, the agrarians, people of the faith, artists, musicians, lawyers. I'm a recovering lawyer, my apologies. And I realized that today, I work for the Keepers of the Water. I'm the executive director. I was the lands manager for Westmo. I do all kinds of random things. But I realized today that we have this simultaneous experience of expressing and articulating and manifesting what is best in this territory, in this province, in this country, and in this world as we come together. But it only seems to happen as we confront what is worst. And that's an unsustainable dynamic. So I wanted to say thank you to those of you who came from all over the place. I want to say thank you to the artists in particular. I haven't cried in 17 years, but I came very close. And I want to share something with you. This paddle that I've been holding the whole time, this paddle is only used once a year. It's used on this day and this day alone. And when it's not in the Peace River and sharing time with you, this paddle resides in a sacred space in my grandmother's house at West Moberly First Nation, 90 kilometers that way. And the reason I share this with you is that what I've been trying to do and what I think we're all doing together as we share time, as we break bread together, as we engage in the creative process, as we engage in tactical engagement through law or through direct action, what we're doing is we're manifesting something beautiful and significant. And I would just encourage you, as a keeper of the water and as someone involved in this work, have something tangible, because this has to be a win. This region has given so much to this province. This region has given so much. The first dam, fracking, hydroelectric, wind, coal, forestry, we've given so much. And so have something tangible to remember this fight, because you're a part of it. You're a piece of this land, you're a piece of this territory, and you're a piece of something major and important. So with that, I'll say thank you for your time. If anyone wants to talk to me about Keepers of the Water, litigation strategy, anything like that, direct action stuff, I'm into that. But with that, I'll end. Thank you.
I've just found out that in Coast Salish territory and Kitsilano Beach in Vancouver, in the rain, 200 people came together for a paddle for the peace event. And as the numbers come in on this event and also events in the Victoria area and in Nelson and around the province, we'll get you those numbers.